Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Fury Toys, let's just call him AZURE line. He's got a long name. I'm not going to read the whole thing or say the whole thing, we'll have it in the title. I was very interested in this when it first showed up as a pre-order, and then I was like, yeah, there's some things about it I don't like at all, and then I was like, you guys want me to review it? And you said yes. So I got it, and here it is. And the figure is very cool in a lot of ways. Just like their Wukong figure, it's very, very close to being an excellent figure. But it does have some drawbacks, some serious drawbacks, and I'm going to talk about them because we don't just say things are good because they're popular and interesting and we want them to be good. It is good, but it is not great, and it has a few very serious issues which you should know about. And then some things which you may want to know about, which aren't probably all that serious, but some stuff to talk about. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, before we look at the figure, let me show you my package. Nice packaging. Figure looks way better here than there, and it's not the figure, it's artwork, obviously, but things like having the white claws on the fingers, things like having the face very clearly a different color from the main, and I'll talk about that, and obviously one's red, one's blue. You'll see what I'm talking about when we get to it. Certain things on this make the character look much better than the actual figure, so that's a bit unfortunate, but it is nice packaging with the gold on there. That's pretty cool. And then, you know, there's that. You can open this up. Why can't I open it? Then you get another thing, which is pretty blank. But you can see the figure inside, and you do get this. If you want this for some reason, you could have that. I don't know if anybody's got space for something like that or any need for it, but it's there if you want it. So, good packaging. We'll do a quick question of the day. How many of you care about packaging enough that there should be extra money spent on it? Or do you want basically just enough packaging that looks decent and more money going into the figure? That's my general feeling about the thing, because I don't care about the packaging. I don't look at it ever outside of opening the figure. It's a nice user experience, but I'd much rather have a better collector experience than user experience. So let me know about that. Not necessarily as it pertains to this figure, just in general. How do you feel about packaging? Alright, so let's talk about this guy. He is in stock at Big Bad Toy Store, by the way, if you want to get one. I'll put a link in the description below. He stands about, let's just say, 9.5 to where his cat head would end, and then a little higher for the hair, of course. And that's going to make him about, let's say, 24 to where his head would stop. And that's with his legs pretty stretched out, including the drop downs. Because one of the things I did not like about this guy when they first showed him for pre-order was the proportioning. His legs seemed so small, and his head seemed so big. And it's not really the head, obviously, he's got a mane, but it's the way the head is connected. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but he does have drop downs that I use to extend him to make him a little bit taller. Just because his proportioning seemed a little weird, but he is kind of tanky looking, so that's okay. But let's get into it. There's a buttload of detail on this guy. Tons and tons of detail. It's very well sculpted, very well painted overall. There are some issues we'll get to. Some things look really, really nice, though. Like, all of the gold is very well done. It's consistent. There's a little bit of like a wash going on with it's kind of like a brown wash, which is what you would want to do for gold. But yeah, it looks really, really nice. Really good stuff for all the armor. I'll get to one of the things that drives me absolutely nuts, which most of you may not care about, but it's a thing. These rings are plastic. We have other shoulder pads that go on him, by the way, which we'll get to for the accessories. They go in here. These are ball sockets. They go right here. Those rings are also plastic. But then you have this ring and these rings that are metal. Ugh. No, don't like that. I want them consistent throughout. It's a very minor thing. Obviously, most people won't care about that. But if you're designing a figure, why are half of the rings metal and half of them plastic? It just looks totally different. The metal ones don't look right on there because everything else is plastic, and they're not even well shaped. Like, this one's pretty smushed. So put plastic everywhere. And you can't even take these off because they're sculpted in. So that blows. I don't like that. It's a little thing most people won't care about. It drives me nuts. But yeah, the armor looks great. The details are good. He does have cloth parts. I don't really like the way they're done. They're too much look like they've just been cut with scissors. They don't actually look tattered. There's minimal paintwork. You can see, hopefully you can see, there's like an orange section at the bottom to make it look worn. It doesn't, though. This part looks a little bit better, like it's been bleached or something, but yeah, the cut parts look like absolute garbage. So for an awesome figure that should be excellent, I don't want to have to find things that look like this. It looks like it was just cut out of construction paper. It does not look good. Same thing on the back. This bleaching over here looks a little bit better. but the shapes are still just, like, that does not look worn. That looks absolutely freaking ridiculous. There's no way anybody can argue with me about that. Square edges on tattered cloth? No, that's not how you do it. And I'm sorry, if you're going to do it, you're getting judged on it. I don't care how great the figure is. The rest of the way, that looks goofy. So there's that. But the body looks pretty cool. We have the very white chest with some purple bleeding into it, going off to the blue. And then we have the bluer white down here, which is unfortunate. They don't really match at all. Maybe on camera they look okay. This is very different from this. Both of these are very different from these spots. And these spots don't blend into the arms very much at all at the top, so it's jarring. Like I said, for a really good figure, there are some serious issues. It just doesn't look quite right. For the face, it's sculpted well. I don't mind the sculpt on the face. I don't like the way they bled the paint all together around. I think they probably could have done more with the sculpt too, but at least with the paint, I want more delineation from the face to the fur. It just kind of makes him look like nothing, like a blob, a mess. Doesn't look great. And then, I know I'm listing a lot of bad stuff. It's because it's a really good figure, so the bad stuff matters more because it's expensive and you have to decide if you want to get it. And I'm guessing most people who are reviewing this are just saying how great it is. It's just a hunch. The mane is glossy. Nothing else on the figure is glossy. Everything is a matte finish or a satin finish at best. But the mane is glossy and the paint looks like real garbage. I hate the way the mane looks so much with the paint. It's terrible looking. And then just having the yellow stripes around there rather than being like feathered into the tips all the way around. It's just yellow stripe here, yellow stripe here. That looks like junk to me too. It's just a really garbage paint job for the mane. Whatever paint they used on that was probably an accident, I'm guessing, because nothing else has that finish. And it looks so cheap. And I'm harping on it because it's a big feature of the figure. And that'll lead me to the other part I wanted to talk about for the mane. When you're making a humanoid cat, a bipedal cat, you have to do one of two things if you want it to look good. Or like extra good. One is leave it human shaped and just put the cat head like where the human head would be. Don't make it look like a cat. Don't give it a long neck or anything like that. Leave it human, but basically change the shape of the skull. That's it. Or build it like Venom. Give him really huge traps and let him kind of have that hunch where he's got the cat-like neck, the longer neck, the cat features. This guy doesn't have either of those things. He's built like a human, but then has a really long neck. And if you don't sit it back all the way, his head just sticks forward. So if he didn't have that mane, imagine what's in there. It's just a long, skinny noodle neck. He's got no traps at all to speak of. So it's very strange looking. And the way the mane is only on the neck rather than going around, like down his back a little bit, it's pretty weird. So you want to mush this back probably all the way and bring his face down to make him closer to looking like a Venom type build or a humanoid type build or like a human type build, but it still looks weird. And I'll Photoshop it for you. There's way too much mane here and not enough mane here, and not having traps, I can't Photoshop that. It just throws off the whole look, and it can look nice in photos, but he does look pretty strange in hand when you're looking at certain angles if you actually think about what the anatomy is. The head sits way high, and he has a long skinny neck because there's no meat here at all, especially with this necklace piece. Throws off the look for me. Maybe it doesn't for you, but this is a review and it's mine, so I'm going to tell you what's bothering me about it. Looks great. They did not paint the claws like I said, though. I mean, looks great otherwise. They didn't paint the claws like I said. There's no white claws. They just go from blue to black tips, kind of. There's a little bit of like white shading on some of them, but it doesn't actually have that claw look. They're not separate things. I mean, sculpt-wise they are, but paint-wise they're not. Same thing on the feet. It all just blends in and takes away from the dynamism quite a bit. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of issues as far as the looks on this guy goes. The cloth pieces here are fine, they're wired, so they look okay. None of these crappy looking cloth ones are wired, so that sucks. I guess that's it probably for the aesthetic, other than his armor pieces all come off basically, so you can do that. They also have some peg holes on them. We'll talk about that for the accessories. But here's the thing. Oh yeah, I'll talk about this. So his armor pieces are designed to be removable, except not really. Oh, come on. I don't mean that you can't remove them. I mean you don't want to. Why can't I get it out right now? Goodness gracious. Once the camera turns on, everything falls apart. His neck is sculpted to hold that necklace. You can't hide it properly. Like, you can bring his head down, but then it looks like his head is just floating out in the middle of nowhere, and you can see it's sculpted for the necklace. It's not actually sculpted for it to be removed. So his head's just dislocated. Like, almost all the time, his head looks weird and dislocated, and especially if you take off, it's not really a necklace, but you know what I'm talking about, this piece here. So, yeah, there's a lot that I was concerned about that turned out to be a valid concern. It's a cool looking figure, and you can overlook a lot of this stuff at your own discretion, of course, but be aware, it has plenty of weird issues, which is kind of like what happened with the Sun Wukong figure. It was a cool figure, great in concept, execution was weird. So yeah, aesthetically, I'm going to give it a 7. There's a lot of good, but there's a lot of bad too, and 7's probably generous, but it's a big figure for $100, and you get a lot of stuff with it, so I'm going to sit with a 7. Now, as far as the accessories go, you get a buttload of hands. That's awesome, except for the fact that you can't even come close to swapping the hands out without a hairdryer. It's impossible. They're not even remotely close to swappable. Unfortunately, the shoulder pads that you need to put on him to make him look extra cool that I showed you about, they connect onto the bicep pieces. You need a hairdryer for that too, or hot water, I guess. It's not even close to being able to swap on without that, so be aware of that. You get these 2 little thingies that can go in some of the holes on his armor, except the pegs are too long for them to fit in flush, so that's a thing. But then you get these big things that can go on the armor in either like the arms or the back or something. They fit on nicer, they look pretty cool. You have an alternate head, the roaring lion, if you want to call it that. It looks really nice. It looks pretty good. I think it actually looks a lot better than the other one. It makes him look a lot more aggressive, like the face is actually sticking away from the mane more. I like that a lot. We have this magnetic crown piece that can go on either head, except for the normal head. It doesn't fit on him properly. It sits way too far forward on his nose and looks goofy, and it looks better on the yelling one. What else? Oh, we have his tail. So that's the other thing. Like, I haven't gotten the tail in yet because that also needs to be heated up. But on Sun Wukong, when I connected his tail and tried to remove it later, it just ripped in half. So I have not connected his tail, and I probably will, but I will need to heat that up at some point. But it is bendy and it works pretty well. We have a cape, a giant cape. It's really, really long. It's especially long if I show you where it connects to the figure, but also it still looks like crap. It's supposed to look dirty again, but it just looks bleached and then like kind of faded. But look at the cuts. It looks like a kid cutting out paper snowflakes in elementary school. It doesn't look good at all. It looks like absolute garbage, if you ask me, which you are since it's my review. But it connects all the way down here onto the necklace piece. So his cape is really long, but it connects really low, which obviously you can make that dynamic and cool looking because it's wired, but also that's a whole lot of material to just be dragging on the ground, and the tattered parts don't line up with how much would be dragging on the ground. It's just a whole lot of things that aren't really fleshed out. They're cool in concept, but not very good in execution. We get this really cool sword. That's nicely done. The metal rings on there, the chain links, mine are not like actually clasped together properly. But whatever, I can fix that myself, shouldn't have to, but the sword looks cool, and you can interchange the handle for the big long handle to make it like a, oh shoot, what are those called? What are those called? I can't remember. And then lastly, you get this, which I don't know what this is for. There's nothing that has this design language in it on the figure anywhere, and I don't know where it goes. I don't know where it's supposed to go. It doesn't seem to go anywhere. I cannot figure it out. Maybe I'm a crazy person, but nothing on him has this kind of buckle, yet this does, and I don't know what it's for. So if anybody knows, you can let me know. But that's it for accessories. So good spread. It's annoying that you have to heat everything to swap them out, but oh no, I'm sorry. There's one more accessory. We have two. We have the bone and the bowl that had too much cranberry juice in it, I guess, and then they left it. Okay, I don't know what that's for. I guess maybe that's something that goes with his mythology. I don't know. Yeah, so accessory-wise, like 9 out of 10, but you have to have a hairdryer, so maybe 8 instead. Like, it's really annoying to have to pull out a hairdryer just to swap out the hands. That's super frustrating. Okay, now, time for the articulation. Does he pose well? Kind of. You already saw the head, but I'll show you how it works. So you pop the face off. You can't swap the head off without your hairdryer either. This one comes off, but the other one doesn't go on. One single long double ball peg for the main headpiece, which does give him some decent range. Oh, he's also incredibly pointy, so be careful swapping out those pieces without a hairdryer. So you have the one down here that lets the whole thing move around, and it works pretty well. It moves around pretty well, but like I said, you're going to really have a dislocated head. Look how far away his face is from where his neck would be. It's pretty strange looking. But yeah, it moves around pretty well. This one over here moves around pretty well. I think the range is good. I would have happily sacrificed some range for some aesthetic, but that's why I just jam the whole thing back as far as I can and tuck his head down as far as I can, and it makes him look a whole lot better. Like, tell me that doesn't look way better to have his face that close to his body as opposed to that. That looks ridiculous. This looks so much more reasonable. But that's closer to giving him that Venom build. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so here, these giant caps are kind of a... You'd think you'd get a whole lot of range. They don't really do anything. Like, the caps don't really move. So, like, they move a little bit up and down, but I don't think they needed to go all out like that. Putting these caps in here when you don't have the range anyways, that's extra work, and it makes it less good looking. But the shoulders, you can raise them up, so that works. Although you do get this, so it's not really ideal. Like I said, it doesn't look good, and it doesn't really achieve much. You're going to get your full rotation, of course. Oh, these things are such a pain in the ass, by the way. These, obviously you can remove them, but they just do not like to stay in place, and they're so in the way, and these little things on the side are very pointy. You can bring his arm forward, but not really. Even with those caps, they didn't cut anything away. Not enough. So his arm still doesn't even go straight forward. It goes out to the side. But, yeah, obviously you can still use his shoulder. It'll work, but he is not like hyper articulated or anything like that, even though there's a lot of joints. Bicep swivel on here is fine. Double jointed elbow is gonna be decent, but not great. It's not the worst looking thing, it's not the best, and in terms of functionality, it's average. It's a little bit better than 90. You'll get more if you remove these. When I said all the armor can come off, by the way, I didn't mean the gauntlets, the extra pieces. These are sculpted on. I assume that was noticeable, but maybe it wasn't. So yeah, these don't come off. And then the wrists are on double ball pegs. Some people will like that, some people won't. I don't prefer it because it gets gappy a lot of the time. So I would rather have a ball hinge or just have the standard fixed hinge, like swivel hinge that's built into the hand. But you get decent range out of them. For the torso, that's as far back as he can lean. So not very far, and you can really see the difference in color here to here. Ugh. That right there might be my biggest issue with this guy. This right here, and I guess the hair being so crappy. Leaning forward, also very limited. Maybe if you can get this stuff off. I don't even think you can take the belt off. I mean, you probably could with some tinkering, but you'd have to remove his legs. So I don't know about that. I guess you probably could. Leaning side to side, it's there, but it's pretty limited. So he doesn't have a ton of range in the torso. Of course, you're going to get rotation. And this piece is a floater, so you can move that around. These guys are wired, like I said. These are all dangly bits. Now, here's an issue. His leg is almost completely floppy, and he's a very heavy figure. Yeah, this ball socket is way too loose on this side. This one's not as bad. So I can probably throw some paper or something in there to make that work. But yeah, this one's way floppy, and he just falls over when I try to stand him. But he does have drop-down hips. I don't know why exactly, because, well, let's see. Let's figure it out. He gets that far without the drop, and then with the drop, he gets a touch farther. So yeah, it's your usual situation where the drop-down hip doesn't really help all that much, but it's there. Goes out to the side decent. The hips have decent range, it's just that it's too floppy. Your thigh swivel is minimal. Double jointed knee works, so that's fine. And then this is a floating piece, and then you have a swivel hinge right here. But these are all fairly loose joints, so that's going to be a problem. No swivel hinge down here, which is another problem for posing this guy. You only get the swivel here at the foot, which obviously doesn't work. I mean, the swivel works, but then you have this sticking down. So your posability is not going to be as good as you want it to be, because the swivel should be back here so the whole foot can move. But you have your hinge at the toe, so that's not going to be super useful. So as far as the digitigrade legs go, these are not the best we've ever seen, especially with the loose joints, and he's super heavy. He's like solid PVC, which I like in a figure. Not because it's heavy, but because I like PVC. But he's way heavy for these loose joints, and his articulation is only reasonable. It's not particularly good. It's good enough that it's fine, but I'll give it a 7. I was expecting more range with all these big cuts and things. I was expecting a lot more range, and he has very little range. Not even counting the waist, where you would expect it to be limited. I was expecting a lot more in the torso. It doesn't have it. So yeah, time for the final verdict. This figure looks really cool. The closer you get to it though, the less cool it looks. It has a lot of issues. Even these, like, they're all tattered up. But actually they don't look tattered, they just look like somebody cut them. They're not dirty. There's a lot wrong with these figures that are coming out of this company, that they're so good. And on paper, they're amazing. But then in actual execution, it's just not there. The 3 different colors for the white fur, even if the arms are separate, fine. Let's just say the 2 colors. The chest not matching the belly looks terrible. The fur on the head looks terrible in terms of the paint. The anatomy is a little bit weird. Wukong had a really long neck and a weird situation there too. You can't just hide everything with shoulder pads. This guy's not as bad, so you can, but you need a hairdryer to do it. It's just, there's a lot going on here that's good, but then so much that's not good at the same time. So I'm gonna leave it at a 7 out of 10, I guess. It's $100. You get a lot for your $100, but you have to decide what's worth it to you or not, because, like, I like it, but I also don't. That's me as a reviewer and as a collector. Half the time I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, I love this thing, it's amazing. And then the other half the time, it's like, what did they do? Why does it look like that? So, I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think. Are you just liking it because it's new and popular? Are you liking it because it's actually really cool for you? Or do the things not bother you? How do you guys feel about all the stuff I brought up in this review? Let me know. I'm very torn as both a collector and a reviewer, because there's a lot of good and a lot of bad. But I'll tell you what, I think, I'm going to change what I'm saying. I think the thing that bothers me the most is the tattered cloth that looks like it was just cut with scissors out of construction paper. I don't know. But yeah, that's it. 7 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll be done there. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos just about every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.